All right, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is, I'll name this segment later, GTG Spits That Grease, so on and so forth. Forever working on the title. So, if the title itself actually hasn't given me away yet, I wanted to kind of I have another question, I suppose, which I find myself asking you guys this more and more as I do these things. Coming off of Evo weekend, coming off of the small, it wasn't even a skirmish, it was really just a blip, to be honest with you, outside of what I'm exaggerating, between DSP and Low Tier God. And I personally haven't heard anything since Sunday morning, because I literally spent all of Evo's final day just giving a shit about Evo. I was thinking to myself, and so I thought I'd ask, what is DSP's biggest fear in facing Low Tier God? Now, most of you are probably thinking, oh, he's not scared of LTG. You know, he thinks he can beat him. You know, he just wants to do this for money and clout, this, that, and the third. The reality is, though, and that all those things are true. But to be honest with you, I think DSP is actually scared of LTG. Or let's reword that. I think he's scared to actually face LTG. Not just in person, but I do mean actually having an organized match with him. I think DSP would rather collab with him in a conversation type thing, and he's just using the FGC and fighting games to open that door. But in reality, I don't think DSP really wants to play Low Tier God. I honestly think he wants to sit down and have a conversation with him, and interview them, chopping shop about, you know, whatever their experiences were in the FGC or how they came up on YouTube, whatever the fuck. I think that's what he wants. I don't think he actually wants to play LTG, because I honestly believe this, so this isn't me being biased, despite I'm probably being biased. I don't think DSP can't beat LTG. And to cement that, I should say, DSP knows it. DSP knows deep down he can't beat LTG. He knows damn sure that he can't beat him. DSP has gone back, and I guarantee you, he's gone back and he's watched his match between himself and LTG and realized, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to beat him. Like, any holes that DSP has in his game, he's got a lot. LTG is going to be able to cover those holes. He's going to be able to exploit them, I should say. Pause. He's going to be able to exploit those. As for LTG has a bunch of fucking holes in his game too. He has a bunch of fucking blind spots and shit. But DSP doesn't play like that. Whereas LTG relies on frame data and what he's seen from pro players. And that's kind of how he establishes his flowchart and pattern play. DSP relies on reactions, and he relies on flow and chart play that he knows that he can execute. That puts him at a massive disadvantage compared to Low Tier God. I'm sorry. Let me get it together. I haven't had my SnortBucks yet. So I'm thinking that DSP really don't want none of this smoke. He'll keep running around calling him a bitch, saying this, that, and the third, go ahead and do his little, oh, he's in the ghetto and all that bullshit, whatever. But the reality is, DSP doesn't want no action on that level. Because if DSP loses, right? Like, here's the thing. If DSP loses, LTG gets nothing out of that. Oh, okay, well, I already beat him already. I already knew I could beat him. LTG just keeps moving forward. But assholes like me can sit there and say, see, there you go. See, he wasn't shit for shit. And that proves it. This proves that he's not smart enough. He's not skilled enough. He doesn't have the hand-eye coordination. He doesn't have the reaction time. He had no business talking all that bullshit. Then an asshole like me would go even further and go back to when he was that walking ATM back in the FGC. When the Marvel boys ain't sat there and cleaned his motherfucking clock and then ran his motherfucking pockets. You know what I'm saying? Or in those matches in CVS that he ain't had his pockets cleaned out. Or those Super Turbo money matches he ain't got his clock cleaned up and gotten his pockets taken. See, that's his problem. DSP's never been good at a grudge match or at a money match. More than likely, he's going to lose. This thing with LTG is no different. LTG plays far more often than DSP, despite the fact LTG hates almost all those games. He plays them far more often. He has a far better understanding than DSP does, and DSP knows that. So he doesn't want to get exploited. He's using this to try to get he's doing this to try to get LTG to the table. He really don't want to play him. He really don't, unless it's in Super Turbo, and which you could or couldn't give DSP a slight edge. being that DSP is probably going to go to whatever the cheese character is, or whatever the character that has abusable shit, and he's just going to play that. So there you go. But then I want you to think about something. If DSP loses, LTG treats it like nothing and walks away, and then everybody else goes, and it only furthers DSP's inability to do anything and to prove yet again he's not good at shit, right? But if you're DSP and you're sitting there investing all this time to try to get back into the FGC, and you lose to LTG, you really don't have no rights to go around and talk any type of hot shit about any type of hot shit about what's wrong with modern games, how modern games should be playing, or anything like that. You've lost in a string of modern games, depending on what they play. Let's say they go with what homie said on Kiwi Farms. Let's say they go with Ultra Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5, Street Fighter 6. Those are, for the most part, that right there is what opened the online genre for fighting games, and especially for Street Fighter. DSP has been playing those things for over a decade. DSP loses to LTG. Everything that he said, all of his criticism, all of that is going to be reduced down to nothing because, oh, well, you're a loser. You're a loser who just talks a big game, but you're not really about that action. It null and voids just about everything that he says. And then he'll never get another foothold in. And because DSP can't avenge that first loss to LTG, right? If he loses to him again, there is no more talking. On top of that, though, let's go in the reverse. What if DSP beats LTG? LTG has a bunch of ways out. I've already hinted at this in a few other videos, but LTG already has a bunch of ways out, and DSP knows it. Let me explain. LTG said that, hey, someone pay me $5,000 and I'll play you. I don't care if I win or lose. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a hot fuck about none of that shit. But if that's what it takes, but if you pay me $5,000, I'll show up to you, whatever this is. I'll go through your little fake grudge match bullshit that you're trying to build us up at. I'll play. If I beat you, I beat you. And if I don't give a hot fuck anyway because I just got my money. So I don't care. I really don't give a shit. If DSP does beat LTG, LTG can be like, I don't care, I got 5 bands. And he'll leave it at that. He will more than likely not, well, he might actually. He may go ahead and make his excuses. He didn't try this, that, and the third, whatever. But that really doesn't matter because at the end of the day, he can point to that $5,000. The $5,000 used, to get him to the table. You don't care on whatever else. Now, if there's money if there is money on the line outside of that $5,000, LTG will probably play harder for it. But as long as he has that initial $5,000 in pocket, win or lose, he's not going to care. He's going to take that. He's going to run back to his tribe and whatnot, do his best Tonka Saw impression and shit, Dungaberries or Tonka berries or whatever, or what do they call them? Oh shit, what was that? What was the actual term that they used back in those days? Wasn't streamer berries. Whatever the term that they used to meme up and use back in that day for super chats. They were like, I'm pretty sure they were called dungleberries or whatever, or whatever. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point being is that he'll go back to his tribe, he'll count his 5 bands, and he'll keep it pushing in the story. Well, to DSP, what does that mean? That doesn't mean shit. There's no value in beating LTG under those terms and conditions. None. If you really think about it, LTG has set up the table to where if he gets the money, the win or the loss doesn't mean a damn thing. It doesn't hurt him. It doesn't hurt him in the eyes of the FGC. It doesn't hurt him in the eyes of his haters, really, because they're going to make their content and make their money anyway. It doesn't do anything because he can always point back and say, hey, I made him pay me this money to actually get to play me. What the fuck do I care if I win or lose? It doesn't have any meaning to LTG outside the money, and that's what hurts DSP. Because DSP needs him to be invested. He needs to hopefully be able to beat him so he can bring him back to the table for something else. If LTG don't care, then LTG really don't have nothing to lose outside of the money. Or, well, the money that he can gain from it. Outside of that, that's it. And that's what DSP is really scared of. Because if he does beat LTG, it doesn't really matter. In the grand scheme of things, honestly, this doesn't matter. The FGC don't really give a shit. None of this matters. If you know LTG's history long enough as it pertains to the FGC, he has gone up against more than a dozen people that have been blown up into high profile matches and or situations. And those were big things, right? Some of the, if you're a real FGC head, well, I would say a real FGC head, because a lot of this is kind of is older and some of it's been diminished over the years. Time hasn't been completely kind to some of these situations. If you've been around the FGC for any period of time, or if you followed low tier guides, you know some of this stuff. His back and forth with Broly legs, right? And he lost that one. His fucking, what was that, 50-0? Or was it 49-0 against fucking Punisher, the Chun-Li player who ended up cleaning LTG up? And truth be told, I remember that was all over the place when that happened. And truth be told, LTG got a lot of respect for that because he kept playing despite the fact that he literally couldn't win. Like after match like 25, it's been a long time since I watched it. After match 25, LTG was done. You could tell he was burnt the fuck out, but he didn't want to look like a quitter. So he kept fighting. Matter of fact, give me a second. Let me actually look up that exact number. Okay, got it. So it was like I said, I was right. It was Punish here, and it was 50-0. This was 9 years ago, by the way, 8 or 9 years ago, when this shit happened. Like that right there is like and that was on stream. That was fucking ridiculous how that shit happened, right? You have obviously the situation with Viscant. He's had a bunch of beefs online with a bunch of different people that's led to some pretty interesting moments in the FGC, which you know, if you compile all of it together, maybe I'll do a blackboard on it one day. It has far more impact than anything DSP has ever done. Like LTG talked that shit in most of these situations and went out there and walked it, even in a loss. You know what I'm saying? People still either found it entertaining or they still gave him respect. DSP is not going to get that beating LTG, especially when LTG is walking into this shit saying, I don't care, I just want the money. If you can't pay me, leave me the fuck alone. Like, it literally has no value. This whole thing is completely upside for LTG. And DSP can't let it go because he's been fucking chasing it for 3 years. So what they call it? The lost, hold on a second. Oh, sunken cost fallacy. I didn't even need to look that up. I already had it on the tip of my tongue. So he's already in this under the guides of the sunken cost fallacy. DSP can't really back down after all the bullshit that he's already done. That's what I think is one of the major problems. But I got one more. DSP, the hypocrite that he is, watches LTG hate videos just like he watches Wings of Redemption hate videos. It's like he watches Keemstar hate videos, whatever, name your lolcow, insert them here. He watches all these hate videos and he uses that as ammunition against these people later, right? Or that's how he develops his thought process or his opinion on these people, which is ironic because he hates it when people do the same thing off of SnortBucks content or Almighty Tevin content or Snort Hogan's content or you know, insert your favorite detractor here. Right, but he does the exact same thing for everybody else. Matter of fact, during the side scroller interview, Keemstar and Craig and Adam called him out for doing that. Oh, so you're gonna judge Keem on this bullshit right here when you literally are using hate videos made about Keem to do so? And then what was DSP's fucking bullshit ass fucking excuse for that? Oh well, the thing wasn't completely negative, so that gives it credence because they didn't completely bash on him. You're a fucking retard if you think shit like that. At the end of the day, criticism's criticism. End of story.
Oh, man. See, I didn't know you put me on the spot. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what we do. That's an interview.
This is a discussion that cannot be just made by me. It has to be made by my wife. You know, we have to talk about it because this was the discussion we had that, you know, sorry, Keem. Can I criticize you fairly if I'm reasonable and don't, you know, not under the belt? Can I be honest about you?
Sure. You can say whatever you want about me.
Sure.
But I just want to represent how I feel about the situation. I'm not done, but go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Keem, you are someone who, when you look at your history on the internet, it's very interesting. And I'm impressed with what you've done. You know what I'm saying? Like, I watched a documentary about you last year. You started off trolling people in Halo. I mean, holy shit. And you turned that into an empire of money on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. That's so admirable. And if anything, one of the things you absolutely need to be praised for is your determination. You were shut down time after time. False copyright strikes, real takedown requests, all kinds of shit. People wanted you off the net, right? You're still there. You never gave up. Damn,
Sound-
that's a success story. That's
Phil, it
motiv-
sounds familiar, dude.
Yeah.
I guess.
It literally sounds like you.
I don't
It's
really
true.
think about
We
it
just
like that.
we just heard your story, and it is. Craig's absolutely right.
Okay. Now, at the end of the day, all right, when you look at what Keem has done and what I have done, I'll probably be forgotten. I'll just be a fart in the wind, right? I got 100,000 videos on the internet. No one's going to remember DarksydePhil besides the guy who jerked off on stream. And, you know, probably this WWE Champions thing will go away eventually, just like everything else. Who cares? But Keem, you know, has a big body of work. He's known. But when you look at how Keem made his money, okay? Again, I'm going off documentaries and things I've seen. I mean, Keem, you have to openly admit that there were a lot of things that you've done that you probably have no issue with whatsoever. You always feel from your perspective, because there's always two perspectives on everything, right?
Holy shit, Phil! I gotta say, this is fucking rich coming from you right now, though.
Yeah,
you're getting your information from the detractors that Keem has, and that's where you're basing this on. When this whole episode, you have been talking about how much shit your detractors have made other people think about you. Like, do you hear yourself right now?
Indeed, I do. That's the nature of the beast. That's how YouTube works, man. That's how all this works, right?
Fuck, man.
You're right. So, from what I've heard and seen about Keem, you know, I call them a misery broker. All right, Keem, on a day when you have a good day, it's because someone else is having a bad day. Someone else has drama going on. Someone else has horrible things happening in their life. It's your good day, man. It's time for you to blow that up, and then you interject like a shoe wedge. Get into that life. Get into that drama, right? You got to be a part of it. And now get them on your show so that you can pull this out to be not just a one-time thing, but now it's going to be pulled on for weeks and weeks. If there's something,
Phil, do you know the internet at all? Do you know the internet at all?
Yes, I do.
Do you see who's successful on the internet? I mean,
yes.
Yeah, I would probably be more successful if I talk shit on people, but like I don't. And, you know, I do what I can because that's just where I'm at, you know? So it's like, you can't be upset when people use the algorithms for their advantage, which Keem seems to have figured out.
You're right. And at one point I was a really stupid, jealous guy. Man, I feel like I'm putting out content that's not harmful to anyone. I'm just doing gameplay. I'm dicking around on the internet here with my viewers. And this guy gets over and he's doing this drama content. People are saying it's hurtful, you know. You're right. At the same time, everyone has what's called a moral compass, correct? And, you know, I've been talking about this on my streams recently. I was raised a Roman Catholic, all right? I'm not religious anymore, by the way. So this is not like an excuse, but I grew up with certain morals, all right, and values. And to me, if the only way that I can get over on the internet and just get over in life is by stepping on other people, I'm not going to step on those people. I would rather be.
I don't think that's what Keem's doing when he's making videos. You know, I see, D-Day Cobra. Shout out to him. I saw him in chat earlier. You know, and tweeted us out. Thank you, buddy. He talks shit on anyone. Like he'll freaking, you know, he monetizes the haters better than anyone I know.
Right.
And
Well,
I've talked to him personally off air, and he's a fucking great guy, and like has a good moral compass to me. I don't think talking shit about people on the internet somehow changes who you are, right? As your moral compass. I mean, you said moral compass, and it's like, come on, dude. Like,
can I ask Phil a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely.
Phil, listen. All right, if me running Dramaler is like taking advantage of people's misery, right? Because the way I understand it, for how you're explaining it, is like a YouTuber will get canceled, and then I cover the story on my platform, or you know, you had the fappening, right? And I covered the story on my platform that I'm making money off of other people's downfalls, right? That's the way you see it.
Yes.
Well, there's people on YouTube that run documentaries on important things that happen on the internet. They're also in the same situation, correct?
What do you mean by that?
They're
What kind of
making money.
documentaries?
They're making money on a newsworthy story on the
So
internet.
like factual reporting of things that are happening, like a news network. Like, what do you mean?
Of course. And then I inject my opinion on these stories as well. But there are YouTubers, right? They're commentators, and then there's commentators that do like documentary style stuff that cover drama on the internet. You're saying that every single one of them is accepting blood money because they're voicing their opinions on what's going on.
Well, simply voicing your opinion is one thing, Keem, but let's take a look at your history here. There's been documented cases where you've actually staged stuff and extrapolated drama in situations where it didn't really exist. There's evidence of this. People have admitted
Explain
to it.
that. Explain that.
Yeah, tell me more. I'm not aware of these.
The documentary I watched last year, but June the King made this one. And I guess there was a situation with a YouTuber, and I forget if he was a Minecraft YouTuber or another YouTuber. And, you know, originally he appeared supposedly as an upfront, honest guest on Keemstar's show covering this drama. I think it was allegations that he had been with underage girls or something like that. Okay. Coming to find out later on, the whole, or at least part of it, was orchestrated between the two behind the scenes. Like, I guess he wanted to get back at someone, his ex or his current girlfriend, and Keem participated in that setup situation.
I have no idea what you're talking about. That doesn't even sound legit whatsoever. I have no idea what you're talking about. You have
the right to deny it. That's fine.
But,
you know what? It's out there. Just so you know, shit's out there, man.
But I just want to say, like, you participated in supporting a YouTuber, all right, that covered a story on my misery, right? If I supposedly did something wrong, you watched and supported another YouTuber doing exactly what Dromler does.
It's a good point.
Well, like, and on top of that, just to kind of reiterate this, like, once again, Phil, you're telling Keemstar that he has the right to deny that because he's saying it didn't happen, even though you're saying there's a mountain of proof in this documentary, right? The same thing is being said to you right now about your WWE legends and everything like that, and you have the right to deny it too, even though there's a mountain of evidence through documentaries online.
Correct. But the difference, Keem, to respond to your point, sorry, there's a lot of points that just came up. The documentary is not just negative stuff about you. Okay, you understand? The documentary is actually covering your entire history. I've learned a lot of things about you that I find very admirable and very positive by watching that. It really did cover factually your rise and all the stuff that's happened and some of the.
How do you know that? No, factually, how do you know it's factual? I'm just curious. It's on the internet, so it must be true.
I know. Phil, real quick. I mean, I see documentaries on DSP, but you on the show said half of the stuff's not even true. So I'm confused. Is the internet 100% trustworthy or not? Because when it's about me, it's all facts. Right. When it's about you, it's all lies. I'm confused.
It's not all facts and it's not all lies. It's always somewhere in between, right? We all know that. We're not stupid. We're not born yesterday. When you watch that documentary, you gotta kind of suspend your disbelief. Say, hey, okay, believe it or don't. Right? Make your own judgments based.
So you chose to believe this one when it came to Keem.
In a couple of particular cases, I'm not saying that one documentary is the only thing I've ever heard about Keem. There's been lots of people who've.
That's what you're referencing a lot so far. So that's what I'm going on.
Can we come to the conclusion that me and you both have a bad reputation? We're controversial figures, but one of us is wildly more successful.
Oh, I'm not. I wouldn't even say I'm successful at all. So
okay.
Yeah. Sure.
Keemstar, continue with what you were saying. Okay, I think we've established this. Keemstar, continue with what you were talking about leading up to this. You reached out to Boogie Wings and DSP, 50 grand on the table to start the podcast. Continue.
So,
you know what I'm saying? It's not just a little bit, a sprinkle of it here or a sprinkle of it there. At the end of the day, it's all criticism. But here's my point. I think DSP's scared because he's going to get into a match with LTG. LTG is going to beat him. And he's going to realize that all those hate videos on LTG and whatnot, those crash out and rage compilations of him losing at games or whatever, everything that DSP's probably built his entire idea of LTG as an FGC player, that he's built that upon or around, if you will, he's going to find out that it's wrong. He's going to find out that he's thinking LTG is going to be probably easy pickings. And he's going to end up, because he's watched all these hate videos and all these rage videos and all that, and then he's going to get in there, he's going to get cleaned up, he's going to get toyed with, he's going to get mocked, he's going to get ridiculed. The LTG is not going to just beat him. He's going to talk shit to him, whether DSP can hear it or not, the whole goddamn time. That's what bothers him. He's going to be bothered that his actual perception of reality as it pertains to LTG isn't exactly true, at least as it comes to this fighting game shit. That's what DSP's scared of. I honestly think that's why DSP's scared to play him. I honestly think that's what the situation is. And if DSP loses, it proves his detractors, trolls, haters, and critics that they're right. That DSP's trash, DSP's straight garbage, and that's why he couldn't beat LTG a second time. Now, most of you are saying, well, wouldn't LTG trolls come out? The LTG low tier guy trolls, whatever, LTG starting to sound weird now, the way I'm saying it. wouldn't they come out and say this, that, or third, whatever? Nah, them cats are all about their content. They're not worried about getting into any fucking debates over bullshit. It don't mean anything like that, bro. It's not that serious. You know what I'm saying? LTG probably can scrape out more wins or equally as many wins as DSP does for whatever reason. End of story. The only difference is LTG more often than not doesn't mind playing big names and doesn't gush and doesn't blow his load all over his fucking arcade stick and shit like DSP does. That's really kind of all that comes down to. Oh, by the way, fuck LTG, by the way. Let me make sure I put that out there. But I think that's what it comes down to. So that's why I honestly think even if LTG was willing to come to the table, DSP doesn't want to do it. I don't think he wants to do it. He's come to realize with what little DSP has, and it's not much, it's less than that. He realizes that he's scared. If he really loses, he's really lost. He can go ahead and do his fake goat laugh or seal laugh or whatever and do all that silly shit, but real recognizes real and people will be able to see past it, see through it. That's what DSP's scared of. But now he ain't shoehorned himself. He's already kind of button nipped himself, if you will, into position. He can't get out now. He has to kind of hope that LTG just doesn't care and leave it alone. Because if he actually gets into that match and it's not Super Turbo, he's more than likely not going to win. But anyway, it was just a thought. I thought I'd just put it out there, see what you guys think, take your temperature. I'll actually see if I can have Diggs or whoever it is that's helping me out on this one. I'll see if they can put in the clip from Side Scrollers when they talked about where the hypocrisy of, well, hey, you don't want people to go off of what your trolls are saying, but you're willing to go off of what this documentary says about Keem. I'll see if I can put that in there just for the sake of context. But outside of that, what do you guys think? How do you guys feel? Do you think DSP is really scared to lose to LTG? Do you think he's even scared to actually play him? Do you agree with my theory, my Theo theory, if you will, big ups to Theo, that he really just wants to sit down and have a conversation with him? He doesn't really want to actually play him because the price of losing is far higher for him than it is for LTG. And theoretically, as much as I hate to admit this, LTG really safeguarded himself early on. He saw the fallacy in what DSP was trying to do, and he safeguarded himself early. Either he gets his money, he goes out there and plays and doesn't give a shit. He goes out there, he gets paid, he goes out there and plays, wins, and it doesn't benefit him. He just walks away with $5,000 and whatever's left of DSP's fucking pride. Or he loses, and he still don't care because he walked away with his $5,000. And if DSP wants to play him again, knowing LTG, he's gonna want 7,000, but want 10,000 the next time around. It doesn't prove anything. And if you're DSP, fucking idiot, DSP is gonna be like, oh well, at least we're tied now. At least it's 1-1 instead of, LTG actually has the win and I don't have anything. But then that doesn't mean anything because you'll never be able to get the tiebreaker, ever. But guess what will DSP do the next year? Oh, well, we have this rivalry. We're 1-1 now. We need that tiebreaker. LTG needs to come to the table. All he's going to do is put more money in LTG's pockets. And if LTG don't care the second year in a row, then what's it really mean? What value does it really have? What purpose does it serve? Anyhow, something to think about. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys for the next one of these. Just a second. All right, my fault. So what was I saying? I think the long and short, sorry, it's been like 20 minutes. All right, the long and short is basically LTG has all the upside. But what do you guys think? How do you guys feel? Do you agree with some of my points? Do you agree with any of my points? Do you guys have any counterpoints? Let me know if anything. And we'll see where we go from there and if we need to do a follow-up and whatnot. And then I'll go back and see what happened on Sunday and see if that, went ahead and was prosperous or fruitful in any type of way. And then we can go from there. But like I said, that's my thoughts, though. That's how I'm feeling about the circumstances. Anywho, this is, I'll name the segment later, GTG Spits That Grease. Thank you guys for listening in. I'll catch you guys for the next one. Take care of yourselves, people. Later.